start. Well, hello. Like that's actually the third episode of my podcast, which has a weird name called 15 Questions with. But I bet I won't ask 15 questions. And my guest today is like the god himself. I don't know, so many nicknames. The super substitute from Flaming Dragoon. Best personality in the community. I don't know. Like, are there any nicknames missing, Kradden?
Oh, I don't know. I would say to the audience, you can invent your own nicknames at me, but that would just turn into abuse on Discord. So
Well, that's nothing new then.
message me on Discord if you're watching this with your favorite nickname for me,
Yeah.
and we'll see how many end up being swear words.
Oh god, actually starts wrong already, or whatever. As you may know, like I want to create a kind of chain between my guests, and
Okay.
my last guest was Mammal,
Okay,
and
tough bar to beat.
he was sober, so everything was okay.
Okay, yeah.
Not drunk Mammal, so all was Gucci.
It's only half of Mammal, really, you've interviewed.
To be fair, I asked him, and he said he was mildly drunk. And then, like 2 hours, no, maybe let's say 3 hours later, he was like spamming in caps, and nobody like was drunk Mammal again. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Oh god! But he actually, because he was only mildly drunk, he had a really intelligent question for you, Kradden.
Okay, let's hear it.
Why didn't you pursue a professional caster career, or how's it going? And because you definitely have everything what's needed for it.
That's actually a really good question, and to be honest, I think Greyheart has been the only other person who's asked something similar.
Yeah.
So I'll give roughly the same answer as I did to Greyheart, which was about 6 months ago. And it's mainly that I'm comfortable in my current situation, and I'm comfortable in the steady job that I've got at the moment. I think going into esports would be great as a hobby, and while I've got the passion for casting and going into organising and hosting esports, it's fantastic. I think the danger of going into it full time would be getting bogged down with the marketing myself part of esports, getting bogged down with the traveling part, and the uncertainty and the instability of esports until you get a reliable top job.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something I'd want to go into at the moment. So I'd say that I'd definitely be interested in the idea of being, let's say, a caster for LCS or another esport if I was experienced enough. The problem is getting to that level and having to build up a resume and having to build up networking and contacts and getting to the point of traveling and setting up a different base. It's also massive, and at the moment I'm able to just stay where I am at home and have a steady job and still pursue esports as a hobby. The biggest danger actually would be if I was regularly doing esports and becoming a caster or a host. The danger is that I might lose the passion or the love that I have for playing and casting, and that would be the worst thing of all.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely something I could do in the future. I haven't taken that risk yet, and I honestly don't know whether I will at any point. I'm flattered to be considered for a question, though, as to whether I have the potential.
Well, I agreed with Mammal because, like, just as Greyhouse, I think, or like, I'm pretty sure you two were like these standout casters in Compete League, and now, sadly, like on one side it's sadly, but I wish the best for Greyheart. He's going ham, and he definitely deserves it in my eyes. Like,
yeah, he's I know he's definitely done work with Chopsky and his team who covered the LPL English broadcast.
Nice.
He's even tweeted at Froskurin a few times, so if that isn't getting involved with the LPL, I don't know what is. And I think he's actually done a few other tournaments, such as V4, which was the Hungarian, Polish, Czech, and Slovakian tournament. So if he can keep getting involved with those, that's definitely what I'd call the circuit. I absolutely wish him the best of luck. However, I do have to point to the fact that Spring 18 Compete League's Best Caster Award went to me, so not really a contest. I wish him the best, but he is second place.
He's like the little squad of casters.
He is the weed fish of casters, however you want to swing that. And if Cortex out there, he's the Team Liquid of casters.
Who's like third then?
Should I annoy Cortex and say Kui or even his casting partner Gleim at some point?
It's your goal. It's your goal.
Honestly, hadn't thought that through. I'll say Kui for now, but I'm sure I'll have a power ranking in about 4 hours' time.
Oh, no, let's do it now. Let's do Caster's power ranking. Let's go.
Ooh, Caster's power ranking.
Let's go. I'm just. Do you have the stream Discord open?
Ooh, go on. Say again.
The stream Discord. I'll just say all green names. It's RT, then Ben Van Maren, Buren Villa, Counterfeit, Tent, Cortex, Kradden, Mammal, Rock, Tom Hench. Then there's Griffin in there, Greyheart, Johnny Esports, Kate Tad, I guess. Actually, haven't heard these guys casting, or like some of the guys.
I'm not sure where you're getting all these names from, but I've just tried to write them down, and I've come up with about 7 or 8 names. I'll write Sesh in there as well.
Yeah.
And I'll write Kui in there as well.
Yeah, Kui. Yeah.
So between that, we've got Artemis, Ben Varmeren, we've got Counterfeit, Tent, Cortex, myself, Sesh, Kui, Greyheart, Johnny Sports, Tom Hench, and Mammal.
Yes.
I'm actually going to take Tom Hench out of there because I haven't heard him cast at all.
Okay, that's fair.
But we're going to go with the other 11, and it's actually going to be a top 10 because I'm so far above these weak rookies that it's unfair. So if we put me at the top, that leaves us with 10, and a few leaks.
Well, it would be really unfair to compare gods to human beings. So
yeah, absolutely. So
we take Tent out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I almost want to take Tent out. That's the one. Honestly, with a few leaks while we're on a 15 or however many questions, I've been asked to do a power ranking after the rosters have been locked for War Rivals. So I'll be you'll hear more about that very shortly.
Yeah,
but
I want to do a power ranking after week 4 because then I have a grasp about what's going on, have every player on stream already, and know who's good and who's not so good.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the problems I'm having with ranking at the moment is that because most of my experience is Compete League, some of the teams like Harewood, who are completely new, or Einsatzbereit, who've changed a few members, I don't have the experience of seeing the Division 1 roster play, so I'm almost ranking them at the bottom by default. So yeah, week 4 is absolutely a good point at seeing how far those new names have come on. But no, back to the business at hand. We've got 10 casters.
You want to do full 10 casters, or let's say top 5? I don't mind. Like, we can do however you want.
No, we're going full 10, and I'll go 1 through 10, and we'll say why.
Okay, so, that's good.
Actually, at the top, I'm going to put Greyheart, and that's about the fit.
Yeah, self-explained.
Call I can make. Yeah. He's about as fast as the wit and the puns that I am, and he'll throw in the WWE references. So say no more. He's number 1. Number 2 and number 3, I'm actually going to put in 2 casters that I haven't seen cast as much, but almost because of their reputation and their experience, I'm going to put them high up. Counterfeit is going to be my number 2 caster on that list. He's been working so much for the UK shoutcaster scene. We've casted a few Steam Golem Invitational series together. And along with my number 3 pick, he's helped provide a lot of casting advice, not only in terms of storylines and narration, but also intonation and what vocabulary to use. So if you ever hear me using the word absolutely more than 5 times on a cast, you'll know that his teachings have failed. Moving on number 3, I'm actually going to put down Ben Varmeren. Again, only had the privilege of casting with him a few times during Compete League days, but he's put together an absolute package of instructions for new casters. He's happy to work with any new caster, and he's brilliant to get on with. So if I ever end up casting with him in the future, that's great.
Sorry to interrupt you, Kradden. We forgot one because he's not in the green section of the stream Discord. It's Ollie.
Oh.
It's Ollie.
OG. Of course, he's only our head caster.
Yeah, because I scrolled down and just looked at the plebs in green and forgot the Royal King himself.
We'll throw a OJD somewhere in there as well. we'll see if there's any other plebs that go around him as well. If we skip down a bit, we've got our top three, and they're almost the semi-pro level shoutcasters on the list. I'm gonna have to go for a tier, which is experienced casters that don't quite make it into the semi-pro tier, but definitely know what they're doing. And number 4 is Johnny Esports. It's very close between him and Counterfeit and Ben Varmeren. Johnny actually commentates a lot of Smash. I don't know whether it's Project or 4 or Melee, but the fact that he goes across different esports and titles is great enough. Also, his setup's pretty self-validating anyway. Moving down to our next section, we've got to take out the names we've gone for already. I think in terms of fluidity and sounding like a football commentator, then OJD is our next one to go for. And I'm going to put him in at 5. I want to see him use his headcaster skills, much like a League of Legends coach would use their pick fan skills. I want to see him put caster pairings together like Kui did for Compete League. And I totally want to see him... I think Doctor did this a lot, actually, for Compete League. Make casters flame each other and try and give each other tips to improve upon each other for. Yeah. He's going to be my gaffer this season, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Next tier, and this is probably where the experienced casters end, is going to be Kui and Cortec. And partially for experience, but also partially because I know it'll sort of tilt him a bit, I'm going to put Cortec below Kui at 7. And Kui gets the 6th spot partly for his casting experience, partly for his knowledge, and also partly for his casting admin role during Compete League. So that's 6 and 7. Now we move on to our next tier, which I'm going to say is sort of player casters. So we're left with Artie, Tent, Sesh, and Mammal. And despite them being at the bottom of the list, they are the casters that I'd probably prefer to listen to out of any of the list, which goes against all logic.
Why?
It's because they bring so much passion to the cast from their playing side. Mm-hmm. And particularly these 4, you can tell they're so driven. And because they play specific roles, so you've got Artie, I think he's now moving into top lane.
Yeah,
but
he's a Virgin Tank top laner now.
Yeah, Resolve Tree, Ninja Tabby. I want to see him use all of those in the new War Rivals season. So you've got him in the top lane, you've got Sesh with his support skills, Mammal also in the top lane, and Tent in the jungle. Potentially moving for Division 2, but we'll see. And you can tell when they cast, they just bring in all of their experience from that lane. Often they make really good color casters because they can provide a lot of specific knowledge into matchups, even specific champion matchups, which normally go over my head. The process of actually ranking them, though, I think in terms of casting skills, they're all great for drive and they're all great for color knowledge. Where it actually goes for hype, I think we actually have to go with Tent for number 8.
Yeah.
Artie is slightly less than Tent on hype. He's like a 9 compared to Tent's 10.
I would have to make a difference here. I would say Artie when he's not casting LoL Squad and Artie when he's casting LoL Squad.
So are you saying that Artie casting LoL Squad would be the second best Artie casting?
No. Yeah. It's like discount version of the actual cast Artie.
Yeah, I think that's his danger, and I think it falls to Tent and Sesh as well. They can bring so much to the cast that it ventures into BM. While it's not professional, I personally love it. So that goes into why I like watching these a lot more. I think Mammal then just edges out Sesh into spot number 10 over spot number 11. And Sesh, he's going to have several months out of action. He's going to, I think, New York and California.
Yeah.
So despite what he's announced, I'd like to think he's going to go on a casting training course and come back and be number 1 on that.
Wait, but why would you go to NA?
I know, right? Maybe it's because everyone would focus on the casting because the gameplay is trash. I don't know. That's just my theory.
Yeah. It's like that. If you can actually cast an NA game, like EU games are pretty easy, you know.
I mean, you don't have to focus on any sort of macro plays. Only 6 players will be on the field at any one time because there's so many feeding and deaths. Like a discount version of casting. So I wish Sesh the best of luck in his 4-month casting camp in NA. And the one I didn't really talk about was Mammal. It's almost unfair of me putting him at 10th. He definitely has the potential to improve as a caster, but apart from a few casts, he's mostly focusing on playing and indeed being the captain for Flaming Dragoon. So if he focuses on casting, he's got mega potential, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go all in with the Flaming Dragoon team. And Mammal, feel free to message me about my power ranking.
That's very spicy though, because regarding your position as a super substitute on Flaming Dragoon, and you're snaking your captain.
That's the one, yeah. It's I've always tried to be unbiased. I've definitely failed because I was always biased in the early part of Compete League towards the Dynamic dudes, which was again Zima's team. So definitely my going into Compete League with Zima has led us to continue together along the same path. I think I will snake my captain, and I think there's a danger of slight bias. I'm just going to have to work hard to stamp that out as I go into casting Division 1.
Well, like, I actually agree on you. Like, I can see your reasoning behind the rankings. Obviously, it's just personal opinion. And I love when players are casting, because it's like unconventional, they bring other stuff in. They bring like specific champion matchups. They have more insight and stuff. Or you have like also like Tent, who legit brings genuine hype to the cast. Although it's like, obviously, if it gets out of hand, it's kind of unprofessional. But that's the art of casting, And luckily, as you like said in the beginning, getting into esports is kind of iffy, and it's really everything is like insecure and stuff. I don't know. It's like just a big gamble if you can actually make it, and but when you're in the scene, it's like super easy to get stuff. And when I was like working for Fnatic, like I was able to cast LCS games for the German broadcast, like multiple times. Also got to cast NA. It was super fun. It was super fun. And I love doing that again.
I've seen you post a few times about going to, is it the ESL Premiership over in Germany?
Yeah. ESL Meisterschaft, it's called. I casted that, and
Meisterschaft.
Yeah, and casted EULCS, NALCS, and actually got to cast one series of SKT when they were good at that time last year. Now they're like dog shit.
Fantastic. Who did you cast with?
With the actual casters, like you don't know them, I guess, like the German LoL shotcasters. So
no, I wouldn't.
Was so fun.
To me, you're the German shotcaster.
It was so fun, and that's why I love getting people into not only playing, playing in an amateur league, but also be involved as a staff member or as a caster and stuff like that. Well,
100%.
But speaking of you, like, how did you become a caster, though, Kradden? Were your skills too low to make it as a player, or?
Well, we'll see what everyone else thinks. If I wasn't that skilled as a player, then why would I get a sub position on Flaming Dragoon?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, honestly, it's I think when playing League, it was great to be involved. I always found I'll shout them out if they're listening. I have a group of friends, and we've always tried to be a group called Natural Summon Killers whenever we play games. And a lot of us played League of Legends at the time. I had and still continue to have when they play an absolute ton of fun playing with them. But we always ended up getting into a difficult environment when getting into ranked. We'd be the greatest of friends outside the game, but whenever we tried to fully focus and go 100%, it'd be a bit of a negative mindset. It'd lead to tilt, and we didn't get on too well.
Oh.
So what would happen a few times is I'd back out of the games and watch the rest of the team play along in their 5v5s. One thing would lead to another, and I'd start getting in communications with them and just start describing the game, what objectives had been taken, who's doing well, what they could improve on, sort of like a coach style. And that sort of repeated exposure to continually talking about the state of the game, the macro, the champions, it was subconsciously building up my casting skills. What actually started me casting, apart from a few solo recorded videos, which you can all cringily see on my YouTube channel, was actually Zima, and I've mentioned him already. when Compete League was, I'll say in the 2016 season, they called it Season 2 at the time, Zima was on a team playing for Compete League, had seen me try a few casting videos, and it was, you could write a movie about it. He just sent me a mail saying, Compete League is looking for casters, please join. So I've probably told people that already. That's how I started with Compete League. And myself and Zima, Zima went through a bit of, I'll say the banhammer, got back into the game. He might have been the wrong elo for the game division he was playing.
Probably.
He got back in a year later, and with obviously we're now on Flaming Dragoon, and the casting has stayed the same all the time. What's kept me in casting is the people who I've worked with, not only casters but admins, the community, and you can see that in stuff like the custom ARAMs, draft racing, the 1v1. It's not just casting that keeps me doing amateur league.
Yeah.
It's all sorts of interaction with the community, and it's all sort of snowballed from there. So to answer your original question, I started casting just out of a transition from player to coach into caster. But I've kept casting because of the awesome amount of fun I've had doing that.
Yeah, and I bet the feedback you also got made you continue doing it.
Yeah, it was the feedback was great normally when talking about the color casting side of the role, the macro side or the game knowledge. But the bit I always loved was doing the play-by-play and either seeing things really quickly or just making a joke or a rhyme in the middle of the broadcast. And that's always been the bit I've got the best feedback on.
Who is or was your favorite co-caster though?
That is, I'll say Greyheart. I don't think I'd be able to top that. The closest I'd go with would either be Kui or my old Compete League casting partner, which was Foxhound. I'll give a shout out if he's listening. One of my NSK, or Natural Summon Killers, co-players called Brit Whiskers. We did one test cast for Compete League, so it's unlikely any Compete League viewers will have remembered him. But we actually did a few LAN events together, and it's one thing to cast for 2 hours. It's another to continually cast and switch roles for a good 10 hours during a day.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be between Greyheart for online and Brit Whiskers for LAN, I would say.
How do you prevent voice cracking and stuff like that?
Oh man, it's I only realized that was such a big problem after the first few games. While I'm talking, it's a case of either powering through it, or if I can't talk anymore, I've got to stop and the other caster takes over. During a longer cast, so for example, a playoff game can be from 3 to 5 games, or the LAN event I've just talked about can be up to 8 hours. Normally water or another drink will get me through it, but sometimes lozenges or what can I call them, cough sweets are good enough to get me through a long day and will keep me able to shout, even if the voice gets a bit sore afterwards. Obviously, it's a lot worse if you're a play-by-play than a caller, because you'll be speaking for a shorter amount of time, but you'll be yelling more so than talking for the big moments.
I realized that when I started my work as a radio journalist, and after I don't know, being news anchor after the third news shows or something, my voice, my throat really hurt, and I was like, I can't speak anymore. Just leave me alone, and just, I don't know, drink enough water, and some herb candy, I don't know, sage, or what is it called in English?
Yeah, herbal sweets or medicine can help a lot.
That I'll do that daily, just to save myself.
Yeah, or just answer every single question with one word and just stare into the camera.
Yes, no, yes, okay, good.
Worst episode of 15 questions ever.
We talked about the casting setup, and because we talked about it off stream, I'm gonna call it, because your job, what do you work, and that's the reason why you don't pursue, at the moment at least, professional caster career.
Yeah, good question, and we did talk about it before this broadcast. So to fill in the viewers who don't already know, I work as a logistics and materials planner. Now, I don't know if the viewers will be familiar with Jaguar or Land Rover cars. There's a factory in Liverpool that makes two types of Land Rover car. So they're the Range Rover Evoque and the Range Rover Discovery. Don't worry, I'm not trying to plug the cars or anything. But the factory I work at produces seats for those cars. And my job is to make sure that the materials to build those seats are fully stocked, that we won't run out of any during normal production. So the components will be things like the leather, the foam, the metals, the wiring harnesses that are used in production of those seats. We do build for 24 hours a day for 5 days a week at the factory. I normally just work days, but if there is an issue with production in the night, then me or one of my colleagues will get called in, and we will have to make sure that there is a transport on the way to fix the production issue. So there's a lot of difficulties with it. I really enjoy the job at the moment because without talking about the technical side of the job, it's very close and it's very familiar, and it's very similar to the skills that I have. So I'm able to think logically and mathematically. Going into the technical side of the job, the sort of scheduling, it works really well. The bit I'm not so good at is the interaction with the suppliers and the customer. It's the sort of personal side of the job, and I'm working to get better at that side. Honestly, it's difficult to do at its worst, but it's absolutely rewarding and fun even at its best.
I just like imagine, is there an assembly line or something in your warehouse, and you just like the metal stuff just comes past you, and you shortcast everything that's going on in your.
Oh man, it would absolutely is the case. There's the assembly line.
Oh no, we have a pause, guys. We have a pause. Production issue. Production issue.
Oh man, I would love that. The whole factory would have to get painted brown or grey when that happened. It would get boring quickly because at most stations, just the same thing happens every 90 seconds. So, hang on, who can I trash talk? It's a bit like Black Rose Esports trying to make the same play in top lane and feeding. It's just
well, that's not. Wait, I have to interrupt you. That's nice to stomp on a dead body.
I can trash talk the players. So right. Mammal and Flaming Dragoon just. I think Axile's now a jungler. He's
yeah, he's playing. I've talked with Artie about it just before. He's playing jungler now because he enjoys playing dog champions already. So well,
so he gets Nasus in the jungle. That's all right. But yeah, we've got to everyone who was in Black Rose. That trash talk stands. Axile in the jungle though. But yeah, going back to the original topic, it's really great to do. I'm not a worker on the assembly line, or as we also talked off stream about how you've had a bit of time in the warehouse.
Oh, so don't remember the polishing, like, oh god, it takes too long. Well, my back hurt a lot.
So, just for the viewers, to summarize, Impress polishes long 8-meter sticks until his back hurts. We're going to say no more on that.
I did this for a living, not now. When I was young and needed the money. When I was young and needed the money.
Those 20 seconds will get played so much.
Yeah, you said like you live in Liverpool, right?
Yeah, so I live in Liverpool, about 2 miles from the factory that I've just talked about.
Okay.
And it's in Allerton, if you're familiar with the area.
Yeah, I think there are some people, because we have some community members like Artie and Drigger, I think, and some others as well who don't have the highest opinion of Liverpool.
Yeah, I've been trash talked slightly by Drigger and Artie. Well, I haven't been trash talked, but Liverpool has, and whenever they do that, I just jump in call and then do a really bad Scouse accent at them.
You know, it's like in fantasy movies. You have like the dwarves, the elves, and the weak. Let's call it the weak race, the humans. And always there's like this special. There's the hero, and it's not an elf, it's not a dwarf. It's always from the weak race, you know, from the humans. So it's kind of like you, because like Liverpool, maybe as a whole, is like in the American president's words, shithole. But you're the hero of the movie. Maybe.
Wait, so the thing I took from all of that is that Artemis and Drigger are an elf and a dwarf?
You can decide who would be the elf and who would be the dwarf.
I'd need to decide. I'd need to know how tall they were. I've been told reliably that Artemis is 4'10", so you can all make your own conclusions.
What's, but I don't know. Like from personality-wise, both would fit as a dwarf rather than an elf.
I mean, if you're trying to trash talk them, the dwarves are really grumpy and moody, and the elves are always
Arrogant and well, then
yeah.
maybe Artie then as an elf. I don't know. He's
Yeah, Artie could be an elf, and elves are also known for their amazing accuracy. Actually, on second thoughts, Artie couldn't be the elf. I had to get that one in there. So, yeah, Drug as a dwarf, fight me.
Okay, Artie's unknown species or whatever.
But we can maybe put him as the Ent, just the big tree in Lord of the Rings.
He had like he has to play Ivan then also. Wait, he can play Maokai.
He's a Maokai in the top lane. He's an Ent.
Wait, he plays tanks already, so just play Maokai. Whatever. What's your favorite fantasy or like what's your favorite movie though?
Ooh, in terms of actual movies, so non-fantasy, my favorite movie is Kill Bill Volume 1.
Okay.
And I really like all of the Tarantino movies, like it's just super over-the-top violent, and there's just some really dark humor in some of the films that I love. I love the swearing in the films, and not only the soundtrack, but also the stylized fights in Kill Bill are what make it my favorite.
And fantasy-wise?
Fancy-wise,
well, let's sorry, let me rephrase it. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Ooh, that is a tough call. I absolutely really love both. I'd be one of those weird guys who answers trivia questions on either one. I would say Harry Potter, but it is very close. Like
which house then?
Which house? I've always seen myself as a Ravenclaw, but I haven't taken the test. I think there's meant to be one online.
Yeah, it's on Pottermore.
Pottermore's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd be Ravenclaw, but we'll see.
Why would you be Ravenclaw? They're like really, I don't know.
They are the nerds of the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, but they're not like
that's the.
Go on. You express like you like to express yourself like in cars or some shit, and I don't see a Ravenclaw person doing that. They'll rather be like quiet and in their own dark room or whatever, and doing some mathematics or like science stuff and be nerdy all the time.
I mean, literally the way to get into Ravenclaw House is by answering a riddle, and I bloody love that. But
okay,
I don't know if there's a casting house. Like, if Tent's casting was in a house, it'd be straight out of Slytherin. He'd just go in with the BM every 2 minutes. But I almost feel like an insult if I said that someone belongs in Hufflepuff. It feels like the house that doesn't really do anything.
I did the test and I got to Hufflepuff.
So yeah, Hufflepuff, absolutely the best house. It's the best people go to Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
it's the best personality traits.
The thing is, I don't know, like Hufflepuff, they never, like there was, I think never a really bad magician, like sorcerer, some wizard, out of the house Hufflepuff, you know? They were always like friendly, like genuinely like friendly people and stuff like that. Obviously, that's kind of soft and like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not known for their cunning or their sort of malicious nature.
Yeah.
But if you were stuck in an elevator over a weekend with one of the houses, you'd want it to be a Hufflepuff. They'd be the best to get along with.
Yeah, depends on your personality. Like if you're stuck with a Ravenclaw dude, then it would just be relaxing, you know, no talking and nobody annoys the other one.
No, you'd just be throwing puzzles and riddles at each other for the whole weekend, or trying to work out how to make a swing out of the lift cable.
Or Gryffindor would just be, I'm so good, and I'm the hero, and I'm the best, and whatever. And Slytherin would just straight up kill you.
Tell you what, that'd work. So a Gryffindor would try and open the door and make the jump. A Ravenclaw would try and jump up to the cable and use it as a catapult and work out all the tension and the force.
Yeah.
A Hufflepuff wouldn't try and get out, but they'd be really nice to talk with.
They would just... Hufflepuff people wouldn't try to get out. They would just wait for help and make a picnic.
However, the Slytherin people, they know there's two people in the lift. It might take a while to be rescued. They would eat you. They would kill you and eat you until the rescue arrived.
That's so accurate.
That's the four Harry Potter houses
Yeah.
in comparison.
What do you think about, like, because in Hollywood, it's kind of trend now for years to make sequel after sequel after sequel, or like prequel or whatever. There's like the Fantastic Beasts movies. What do you think about them?
Ooh, I have only seen one, and I'm conscious that I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but
Oh yeah,
I
it's
really...
only one released though. Like the one, I guess it was only one released. Yeah,
Yeah, there's the
yeah,
one
yeah.
I know is the one
The
that's set in New York,
yeah,
which is
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I guess it's called.
and where to find them. I think there's another one set in either Britain or France, but I don't know about that one yet. But the one I did watch, I went to watch it with my mum, and she's not really as much into Harry Potter as I am. What I really liked is that both of us left the cinema really enjoying it. So what the guys have done is they've made a good film for the person that's new to Harry Potter,
Yeah,
but they've also made a really good film with a lot of hidden in-jokes and references for someone who has watched Harry Potter or read the books and knows a lot of the background lore. So while a lot of the time sequels can be bad, I've really enjoyed that one, and a couple that I've liked recently. There's a Jumanji sequel, so Welcome to the Jungle. That's fantastic, and
yeah,
it's got The Rock and Jack Black in it. I
yeah,
love that
yeah.
one. And very recently, in fact, Deadpool 2. I've watched that in the last
Oh,
couple of weeks.
I'm not a DC, Marvel, or whatever fan. I don't know. Just never got into that kind of stuff. Superheroes.
Ah, okay. It's sort of superhero-y because yeah, he is a Marvel hero, but
Yeah,
it doesn't have any of
yeah,
the
yeah.
drama that the Avengers or Iron Man have. It's the kind of humor that Deadpool has is the humor that I really identify with. It's all breaking the fourth wall. So, for example, in the middle of a scene, someone will say that they're trying to hack someone else's computer, but the password was one number or it was their dog's nickname. And Deadpool will turn to the camera and say, that's really lazy writing for a film. And I absolutely lost my sides at that point.
All right. Okay, I can definitely see that, but I don't know. Like, never got really into it. That's why I didn't bother watching it. But I
Fair
knew
play.
I knew about like Deadpool memes about all the superhero cliches and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's probably the biggest memer of the Marvel universe.
Speaking of memes, nice,
Ooh,
nice,
great
bridge over.
transition.
Yeah, yeah. How relieved are you, Kradden? You kinda got rid of Greyhound and now have the spotlight for yourself.
I now have the spotlight. I don't know about that, because
You don't think
while
so?
while doing the Steam Goal Invitational, there were a few casters, so I think it was mostly myself, Counterfeit, and Artemis for the last stage.
Yeah.
However, Quee says he's got a few casters coming in, and also there's the casters that we've just discussed, and OJD, the head caster. I wouldn't say I have the spotlight to myself. I think there's still a lot of great casters in there, and going back to what I said about OJD earlier, I think that it might not be one caster we're looking out for. There might be a great duo that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think when it comes to Quee and OJD revealing the casting lineup, I'd be interested to work with all of them, and I really want to see the different strengths. Like when we talked about the player casters and also the semi-pro casters, it's the difference of professionalism and experience versus passion and intimate knowledge with one role or one lane. And I want to see all of those merge.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm also really curious, like the fresh blood and stuff. So, who's, who's going to cast whatever games there will be for Division 1 and Division 2 also. That was very important for me actually to kind of treat Division 2 just like Division 1 as much as possible, but also to get them on stream because I kind of found it sad in Compete League that Open League didn't get any stream time.
Yeah, totally. And I think while there's still a difference, so I think it's only some of Division 2 versus a bit more proportionally of Division 1. It's as close as you can get given the number of teams that'll join.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're hosting them both on different days, they both have similar roster rules and lock-ins. It's really encouraging if you've got a new team that joins halfway through the season. They know they won't have to fight through as, let's just say, the more irrelevant league in order to get to Division 1.
Yeah.
In Compete League, a team could join in an open league, get into Premier League, have all the prestige of being streamed, and then if they won, they would almost immediately disband because they would have to go to the next level
Oh
and
yeah.
compete at, let's say, Diamond if they won the Golden Platinum League.
And get clapped there.
Yeah, clapped is the word I might use as well. And yeah, you've got a lot more of an even and fair structure. And I think because of the way that the sign-ups have worked, so just the first 10 teams to sign up have got Division 1, that it might be the case that we see a few stronger teams in Division 2 than in Division 1, at least initially. Yeah. So what I really like from, I think it was X-Drigger's idea at one point, he proposed a cup at the end of the year, sort of October time, similar to the World Championship, where both Division 1 and Division 2 teams would be welcome. Yeah. And not only would that bridge the gap between the trial split and Season 9, it would also bring a bit of parity and allow the viewers to see which of the Division 2 teams could belong amongst Division 1 opposition.
Yeah, true. Actually, that was the idea, and I really liked it. I don't want to scare anyone, but as the name it says, it's a trial split, and after that we consider continuing or not, But I don't want to, because it depends on how the feedback is and how much we have to do and how big the outcome is, obviously. But yeah.
Yes, so many factors that a co-CEO has to consider.
For me personally, Kradden, I want to know, since I've tried it with a spicy interview series impressions, but I couldn't get past the top dogs, AKU and Greyhound. What do I have to do?
Ooh, was this for the Best Content Award?
Yeah.
Well, you might have to do as I did and bribe 25 people on the list. That's the only way I could beat the series.
Okay.
let's just say my PayPal was in full flow that month.
You did some night shifts at your warehouse, or?
Say again.
You did some night shifts at your workplace.
Yeah, I had to go into night shift, go round the clock, sleep at the place, and jump into one of the boxes and kip for 8 hours before going back to work. So I just emerged after 2 months and popped up the PayPal and then said, "No, I've definitely got the head content award done."
Okay, that's my threat now. Maybe I can out bribe you, So let's see.
I'm always open. Please DM me on Discord if you're willing to bribe me.
Speaking of awards, who is your player to watch this split?
Oh, not just player to watch out of all of the players that are there. So I've actually got the player master sheet open in front of me.
Yeah.
And I almost have to go for a player that's not been prominent in Compete League because it's almost a zero to hero story we're looking for. In terms of a team, I'm obviously biased towards Flaming Dragoon. I can even see my own name on there, and that's weird. I'd say in the support role, we're looking at Kypri Oscar because he was only peripherally involved with Compete League. In the Steam Golem Invitationals, he showed himself to be really powerful, influential, particularly on the Rakan pick. And he's got great synergy with Ricky. I think he will find the same with Noah as well.
Okay.
And it will be great to see how that duo and that team develops. But Kypri is definitely one of the players to watch. Going elsewhere, I think Zayen in mid, he was really good at reading the game because of the Pirates macro and pick ban from the previous split. In the few scrims that I've seen Zayen play, Zayen's absolutely demolished his opponent, so he's got the micro and the macro skills. Combined with Dewey in the jungle, that's going to be a great duo to watch as well. Dewey absolutely out-jungling most opponents in the Steam Golem Invitational, playing for VV, I think. So I think between Dewey, Zayen, and Kypri, they're three initially really good players to watch.
Yeah, I want to talk briefly about Visitor Volunteers because they have kind of an interesting lineup with 3 ADCs or marksman player. What do you think about that, Kradden?
Well, I almost want to go to League of Legends Reddit when people were complaining about how ADCs no longer belong in the bot lane. It looks like that might be the case with players as well. Now, the last time I saw an Cortex jungle was when we did a show match in Compete League for the Gold and Platinum Summer. Summer 2017, I think I've got the right split there. Summer 2017, one of the two finalist teams didn't show up, so the casters actually got a show match together, and Cortex was my jungler for my support role. And Cortex, despite it being sort of a meme team, he was able to read the game really well, and his level 2 Jarvan the 4th bot lane gank got the casting team ahead to such an extent that we won the first game against Mima's Youth. So I really want to see him in the jungle. I'm less sold on BRE Tyler or Coxie in the mid lane, just because I haven't seen him play too much. He started to make the transition to mid lane, having played a few Corki and Kassadin games. It's very much a jury's out situation. If he takes his ADC mechanics and smoothly transfers them up to mid lane with the added things to consider, like mana starving, mana costs, blue buffs, roaming, and then sort of teleporting up and down every now and then, I think he's a strong contender. But until he's played a few games and adapted to his team, he's more of a question mark to me. Bomberhond, say no more. He's fantastic.
Yeah, number one ADC. What do you mean?
Yeah, as Satri would say, number one Bomberhond, rest irrelevant. As to whether it's better than, let's say, established junglers or mid laners, I'd say that the jungler or mid laner would have the experience edge, but you can never discount potential and you can never discount mechanics.
Yeah.
I think at this level, compared to, let's say, Challenger or LCS, players are far less locked into roles because they'll have played at all 5 different roles to some extent. They'll have been auto-filled into all 5 roles at some extent. And the proportion of play where they've been locked into a position is far less than at the higher and pro scenes. So I think transitions between roles are a lot smoother. So it's not that dramatic that we're seeing 3 ADC players on one team. It's going to be a question mark, and it's going to be one of the main topics to look at as VV start the Division 1 split.
What I definitely expect from VV is the Nunu Karthus combo, because I know that Tyler loves to play Karthus, and as you just said, Cortex, he has a good game sense, and with Nunu you can like punish the enemy jungler and make him as useless as you are.
Great odd one quote there. Yeah, the Karthus Nuno, I immediately tried to think of the Defile and the Absolute Zero going on top of each other.
Yeah.
I often like the Rise Nunu combo for just teleporting Absolute Zero into an enemy team. But Karthus Nuno, I think if you're a jungler and you got slowed for 30 seconds, got slowed by the Wall of Pain and then taken down by a Requiem, that would be enough to instantly tilt you out of the game.
Just FF.
Without flaming any particular player, I think tilting someone out of the game wouldn't be too hard for some of the junglers that are in Division 1. But yeah, Nunu Karthus, it's one of the more annoying ones. Karthus might take a while to get going with the farm and with the mana control, but if Nunu can 3-buff, I think that team could work really well. And if Tyler has good comms with Roy and with Maus Rex, then it could be really good at just picking off those kills and sort of starving the enemy team off the map. Weakness, of course, is if that Nunu gets out-dueled or if that Karthus gets locked onto by a very high mobility jungler, it might be very difficult to claw that deficit back if the Nunu Karthus start behind.
That's true, but as you just said, a big question mark, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And for like my last question, Kradden, it's actually the longest episode by far.
Wow.
48 minutes now. What is going on with draft racing? Any particular updates?
I'm glad you asked me about that, and I'm immediately going to the draft racing meta channel. Now, I'm going to reveal to you all the big conflict that I have with draft racing.
Okay.
Because at the moment, whenever I introduce someone to draft racing, let's start in the right place. If you haven't played draft racing, it's a mode where two teams of 5 play against each other on Summoner's Rift. There are a few rules, but the main goal is to int 10 players into the enemy fountain before the other team. There's a few other rules, such as you can't take experience off your own jungle, and apart from a few conditions, you can't take lane XP. So it's mostly fighting into the enemy jungle for experience, and then trying to rush the enemy fountain for points.
Yeah, just
Um,
do it like me and play Ferrari Kane, you know?
yeah, Ferrari Kane, Unstoppable Onslaught Scion, Hecarim, they're all good picks. Or you could actually go and play like Furum in top lane. He ints all the time, and you can just get into the enemy base and get the 10 points quickly. Now, returning to my conflict, I've just had to take a minute to explain all that. And if I've got about 10 people in a lobby and I have to type all the rules out, it's very difficult to get people into the game because there's quite a few rules to understand.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to do is to have all sorts of patches and all sorts of rules that people have to keep track of, such as if you're playing Kane, you have to take Exhaust, or if you're playing Hecarim, you can't take Ghost and you have to go to a minion wave every 5 minutes, because people will quickly lose track. The only rule I've added so far to stop games lasting too long is that after 20 minutes, all points are doubled, and after 30 minutes, next point wins, because it discourages all sorts of defensive play and means that even as we get later into the game, someone's going to want to make that rush for the win. And even adding that is a separate thing for people to remember. Go
Go. Oh, okay. What do you think about the removal of Ban of Command?
Banner of Command, the biggest impact for me, because we're already on the topic, is on draft racing.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people used to do is have a defensive player. Zemo will really enjoy this, such as Annie or Karma. Use the CC to stop the attackers, build a gold generation item, and then funnel all the gold into Banner of Command. Some teams would even build 3, 4, even 5 Banners of Command. And because of the restrictions about not being able to go into lane until the wave is at your own base, the Banner of Command would just be an easy way to take 6 turrets and get however much gold that is, 900 or 1,000 for your team, and thus put you ahead as you got to fights with items. Now, that's obviously a big impact. I think players may use a few crutches in place, like ZZ Rock Portal or Yorick's Eulogy of the Isles Ultimate, to try and get back some of the spirit of Banner of Command. But I think Banner was the big item that everyone could get. That's not going to happen now. And players will have to try and work differently to get the gold. And they'll have to rely less on turret pushes. For future games, I'd really like to have as many people as possible playing draft racing. If I'm on and we're ever doing a night of custom games, which is probably once a week, maybe a bit more regularly, I often like to play a few ARAMs and throw a draft racing in. One of the things I'd like to do, although it will be very difficult to put the rules and the format together, is a tournament for draft racing.
Oh.
Because a couple of the limitations will be that the game time has to be limited, because you can't have 2 games going on at the same time. One takes 10 minutes and the other takes 35. The other one is that there has to be an admin in every game to call the points, because otherwise teams will get in a big argument. So it has to be a 4v4 draft racing tournament, because if it was 5v5, the admin would be in spectate and they'd be 3 minutes behind. So it would be 4v4. There's still a few more things to put together, but with my trusty lieutenants, Sesh King, when he comes back from NA, Zima and Viatza, along with a few others that really like draft racing, I'm sure we can put together a few rules. One of the things I might do is just have a draft racing game every week alongside Division 1 or 2, and have a battle royale between the teams. Last team standing. I'm just spitballing here, but that could be fantastic.
Basically you could do it just you said, like make game time 15 minutes and the team with the most points win. And
absolutely.
And like then it wouldn't matter if there's a spectator or not, because like if both of the games are delayed by 3 minutes, it's whatever, you know.
Yeah, and it's if you remove the score cap, it doesn't matter when the teams stop playing. It's only the 15-minute game, as you said.
Yeah.
And the admins could go into spectate. They could call every point. And that's actually a good call. You should be on the draft racing meta team.
Nice. I get promoted. Fuck my CEO position.
That means we can run all the Division 1 and Division 2 stuff, and we can be captains on opposing draft racing teams.
He can run all the irrelevant shit then.
We can run the irrelevant shit, and we can run it down mid.
Well, yeah, that I don't know because that could work though if you limit the game time to 15 minutes and stuff like that. My last question, and then we wrap it up.
Ooh,
Who's the best champion in draft racing?
best champion in draft racing. Attacking Kane, defending Morgana.
Why?
So Kane, for attacking, you just want to get into the enemy base, and there's several champions that do it well. Kane, with his Shadow Step, is probably the best tool at doing that at the moment. He can do it before level 6, which means you might get a few early points. He can do it reliably, and other champions that have giant mobility, such as Olaf, Hecarim, or Sion, they take a bit longer to get going, and Sion and Olaf require their ults. Hecarim is a bit more vulnerable, whereas Kane can just walk through a wall. Kane for attacking, going on the other side, for defending gets a bit more difficult because you just want someone with hard CC that can sort of get passive gold and that can sort of snowball with kills. So you could go for one of several fighters. You might try and snowball with an assassin like Katarina or Akali. I always find that good, reliable CC and just making it very difficult for the attacker to run in is a good defensive trait. Although I have to honourably mention Annie that Zima plays and also Shaco as just really annoying defenders.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I just recently got into draft racing, as you know,
I like it.
and I picked the Kane because it just seemed logical to me, and apparently the guys didn't know. I caught them by surprise because, like, at level 3, I already scored like 3 or 4 points or something. Then they realized, there's something going going on here, and
Yeah.
just for the viewers, the best build on Ferrari Kane is you go Ghostblade, Shurelius, and then you go Omreka to disable the turrets.
Oh wow! And obviously you'd combine that with a flash, a
Yeah.
hex, put it into hex flash. In fact, you wouldn't need hex flash
No.
if you're disabling the turrets.
Yeah, you don't.
Would you
don't
go ghost?
I went. I went Smite and Flash because I didn't know it better. But I definitely see Ghost and Flash would be really, really good.
And yeah, I think you actually scored. Was it 6 out of 10 points in
Oh,
that game?
way more. I scored like 8 or 9.
Wow, that's about as much of a solo carry as we're going to get. So, in terms of MVPs, I think you might be the attacking MVP. Although Zima, if you ever play against him, he will
Oh,
stop you in your tracks.
That's a challenge now, Sima. Face me.
That's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force.
You have to give me tips. What makes his Annie so good?
Now, his Annie in general, just for the point and click aspect, is very reliable. Whereas you can miss Morgana bindings or Janna tornadoes or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Normally, Zima will buy a Spell Thieves, and despite not building for full AP, he will have enough AP in the bank to take you down in a few shots. What Zima also does is he brings his coaching to bear. So when he's in voice chat, he'll often see when enemies are coming in. He wards well because of his support experience. And he'll often call in allies that he needs to defend. So even if someone's halfway up the map or on the river, Zima might call them back to defend in case a big attack wave is coming in. And he knows how to use his team well.
Oh, all right. That's well, the challenge is out, I guess. And
Yeah, get me in that game.
Yeah, draft racing. I never participated in a Quiplash or whatever it's called.
Oh, a Quiplash?
Yeah, Quiplash. I never got into that.
Okay. Yeah, I think Mammal's probably the guy to talk to about that one. And if you're a viewer, you've probably seen where 2 different answers come up on stream.
Yeah.
It normally ends up being trash talking about Axile or whoever's in the call. But it's I'd say get into that or Sketch League at some
Oh,
point.
Sketch League is so fun. Sketch League is so fun. I'm bad at drawing, but that's what makes it fun though. But do you guys do it champions only or abilities and items too?
I think when I'm playing with chicks with sticks, so Dan, Hawks, Kitetsu, Rani, and so on, we'll often just play the champions mode. But when I'm playing with Mammal, so either BRE or LOL Squad X teams, I'll often have the full set thrown in. I don't think I've ever seen champion titles thrown in. So, for example, the Lady of Clockwork for Oriana.
Okay.
But it would be fun to see the full kit go. And it's just really enjoyable. And I think the ideal game night would be something between Quiplash, Sketch League, and Draft Racing with custom ARAMs on board.
Yeah, definitely. So that's your game plan then, Kradden.
That's the one. I'm gonna set up custom game nights for War, and if I can throw teams in and do like a season long elimination thing between teams, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, we actually it's actually 1 hour now. We're recording. So
Oh man,
holy shit. Okay, let's wrap it up, I guess.
yeah, let's go.
Really big thank you for being here and talking about casting and draft racing. It was really fun, and I'm looking forward to the big game night.
Likewise, thank you very much for interviewing me. It's honestly a testament to how fun it's been that it seemed like 15 minutes, but you've just told me an hour's
Yeah,
passed, and I don't believe you.
it's actually 1 hour. Well, okay, cheers, Kradden.
Cheers, Impress.